Hi, I'm Danielle, and this is Chatter Out Loud, a podcast where I share thoughts and TV commentary, starting with one of my favorite shows, Big Brother. In this episode, I'm chatting about Celebrity Big Brother Season 3, and I have a few live feed updates and spoilers. So if you're not a fan of knowing who has either won an HOH, Power of Veto, or has been nominated before it airs on CBS, then you should wait until my recap episode to find out those things then. But if you are interested, keep listening. There are a few things happening on the feeds, so let's get into it. Oh, well, first I want to preface this by saying that I scanned through much of the live feeds today during my lunch. As a live feeder, you know how we do. We can tell when the conversation is kind of good and who's talking to whom, and we stop, we listen, we rewind, we fast forward, so it's not like I'm sitting there watching hours and hours and upon hours, we get to the good stuff. So I found a few things, so let me get into it. All right. The first thing, early this morning, around 2:30 a.m.-ish, I believe, the live feeds came back on and we saw Todd Bridges had the HOH key around his neck, right? They were sitting in the kitchen. Todd Bridges, Cynthia, and Carson were at the kitchen table. They were chatting about the HOH competition. And it has something to do with like tasting foods or drinks and guessing the flavor. Todd Bridges won the HOH. And I can't wait to see how it's aired because I wonder if he won it on his own merit or if Todrick or Misha threw it to him, so they could kind of influence how Todd would nominate specific house guests. So I'm interested in seeing that on tomorrow night's episode. Sitting at that table, or I think there was either at the table or in the living room, but they were all together. But it quickly turned to Shayna, talking about Shayna. And Todd Bridges, and this surprised me a little bit, but I'm not sure why, but he criticized her meaning Shayna, about her walking out of the Big Brother house in the attire she was in, right? And he made a comment like, if that was my woman, I wouldn't want her out there like that with all that hanging out. And it made me cringe for a few reasons, but first of all, Shayna had on athletic attire, right? It was a tank top and it was the leggings, right? It was athletic attire. There was nothing raunchy about it. There was nothing there was nothing raunchy about it. And it just, I don't know, I'm tired of just stop objectifying women's bodies. I mean, Shayna, I don't know. I didn't like it. So that really annoyed me. And I just wanted to say that out loud. All right. Carson shared that when he was on some show years ago, he started talking about maggots and some of the competitions he had to do, but it had to do with maggots and getting an egg or going under something. Just, I don't know. It made me a little nauseous, so I didn't even continue listening to that. But yeah, now I have to go look it up to see what this show was. What reality show was Carson on where he's having to do like some type of Fear Factor stuff where there maggots are on his face and just yuck. They brought back the famous Unitards. And this season, the Unitards are drinks and a lime. So get this, they call it a Hojito and lime. And the Hojito is just like a mojito, but it's Hojito because it's an HOH. So it must have been some type of like punishment during the HOH competition. And guess who has to wear? It's two Unitards. One is the Hojito and one is the lime. They're both green and they got the little hat. And guess who has to wear these Unitards? Lamar and Todrick. And apparently the HOH, Todd Bridges, picked the two of them, right? And so they have to wear these unitards for 24 hours. Lamar is apparently pissed off about it. Let's see. I had to fast forward because when they were talking about it and how upset Lamar was, he just kept sticking up his middle finger at them. When they were asking him about it, they had to change into the black leotard underneath that they wear underneath the costume. And they're like, Lamar, how you feeling? He was sticking up his middle finger. I don't know if they're going to show that, but it is hysterical watching them walk around the house like that. And so Lamar and Todrick are in the famous unitards. They're tethered together, so they have to go everywhere together. They have to go everywhere together. And so you see this big, giant, tall guy, and then this little guy, right? So that is, that's imagery itself that's like fun to look at. And then looking at Lamar in this unitard, it cracks me up. And he's not happy about it, right? You guys wait till you see it. Let's see. And a couple of funny things first of all, the way they walk around, they have the wrist bracelets, or they're tethered together by the wrist. And it's just so funny watching them. Just watch it. It is hysterical. But at one point in time, Todrick was laying in the bed talking with Misha. And because he's tethered now to Lamar is in the neighboring bed, right? So he's right next to him. They're not sleeping in the same bed. They're on different beds. And so Todrick and Misha were speaking, and they were whispering. And Lamar goes, could you please talk in a normal voice or regular voice? I'm feeling awkward. Oh, that was hilarious. Later, let's see. They were underneath. Yeah, Lamar was sticking up his middle finger. Okay, so Lamar doesn't find the unitard funny at all. He wants to fight Todd Bridges now. Now, it's all in fun, but he says he wants to fight Todd Bridges. He told Todd Bridges to lock his HOH door at night, and anytime he's dozing off or taking a nap, he better watch himself. So he's like not happy, and that's all because Todd Bridges is the HOH, and he selected Lamar and Todrick to wear the unitards. All right, let's see. Something else that I saw. Oh, this was funny, and this actually happened a couple of days ago. So Todd Bridges, you know how Big Brother always makes announcements like "Stop singing" or "Todrick, come to the diary room," things like that. So Todd Bridges was looking through the refrigerator in the storage room, and he goes, "Big Brother, stop buying tofu for this house." That just made me chuckle. So I had to write that down. Another thing I wrote down, this was a couple of days ago, and this is before I saw how, because Todrick's behavior is getting worse, and his likability factor, I told you, people do not like Todrick at all. But I wrote something down because it was just an observation I made. So a couple of days ago, he was talking about his time on The Masked Singer and just performing in general. And he kind of lit up. And he was the bull on The Masked Singer. He went very far. He came in second place. And I liked watching him talk about that and how he talks about performing and how much life it gives him. But he's very passionate about that. And I like seeing that side, because what we're seeing now is just not complimentary towards Todrick. And I wish he would take some time to reflect after this, because he is going to get a little wake-up call when he leaves the house, because people are tough online, and he'll know that, because he's a social media person, so he'll know. But I think he'll be affected by how negative people are viewing him. But that one aspect, and watching him talking about like his career and the things he's done and performing in his tour, he lights up about that, and that's nice to see. I just wish that can translate in other areas of his personality. All right. Someone had asked me in my last review about jury votes. They were asking, why did I say if America gets a vote? And in my mind, here's what I was thinking. just to explain it a little bit. So since SNL Chris left the game voluntarily, he didn't get voted out. He quit, basically. He won't get. My thoughts were that he wouldn't get a vote, right? So he can't come back. I mean, maybe he will come back on finale night, maybe, and whatever comeback means, they may do that video thing again. But he wouldn't get a vote because he quit the game. And then I was looking at one of the girls I follow on Twitter. She works for US Weekly. She actually confirmed that CBS confirmed with her. She tweeted that CBS confirmed with her that Chris Kattan, SNL Chris, he will not get a vote. And so I was thinking that before she confirmed it, because he quit the game. Why would you be, awarded a vote if you've quit? So since he quit the game, that leaves 8 votes now, right? Because there were 11 house guests in Celebrity Big Brother. All of the evicted house guests vote. They're not a sequestered jury, but all the evicted house guests votes. So if we were still with 11, you have 2 people in the finale, right? And then because you have the winner and then the runner up. And so out of 11 house guests, that would be 9 people left to vote. And since SNL Chris quit, now there's 8. So I'm thinking they'll give America a vote. And so that's what I meant by that. That was my thought process. But we'll see how that turns out. All right. Lamar is definitely antagonizing both Todrick and Todd Bridges. They were in the storage room. Apparently, Todrick ordered a deck of cards. He was trying to open them. The feeds went out. When they came back, Lamar had torn the cards in half. And that really pissed Todrick off. He's like, I can't believe you did it. And so by that time, Todrick has had it with Lamar, right? And so now they're walking out of the storage room. Todrick is pouting. And Lamar goes to Todrick, hey, what do you want to do now? And and Todrick, and excuse me if I offend you if I curse, but I'm just telling you what Todrick said. Lamar goes, Todrick, what do you want to do now? And Todrick says, I don't give a fuck. I'm over it. He was so mad that Lamar ripped up those cards. It was a brand new deck of cards and he ripped them up. And there was no reasoning for it. It's just that Lamar is just antagonizing people. That's all, right? And he's not too happy about being in that leotard or that unitard. So he's not happy about that. So they go into the room and Todrick's like, well, explain yourself. He's like, I don't have to explain myself to you. So he's like, what do you want to do? And he's like, well, I'm taking a nap. And so anytime you're in the unitard, when you decide to take a nap, you're allowed to take it off, right? So they both took it off. Remember, their beds are next to each other now because they're tethered. So they took their costumes off. Todrick laid down immediately, put his head under the cover. And Lamar, he laid down in the bed. He kept telling Todrick, you have to put the wristband on. He's like, no, I don't. They were arguing over the wristband. He's like, you have to put it on. He's like, no, I don't. And then he said it again. And Todrick was like, Lamar, I'm not playing with you. And if you know that dialect and that tone, that means leave me alone. I don't know. Watching them two, it really made me laugh. And Lamar, how childish he is. It was just funny. All right. And then finally, Todd Bridges brought up or talked to Carson and talked to Cynthia. And the plan is, we haven't received confirmation as of yet, as of the time of me recording this, but the plan is that Todd Bridges, the HOH, is going to nominate Carson and Lamar. I think there's some influence there by Todrick and Misha. I'm not sure. I haven't seen that part of the feeds, but I just wanted to share that with you there. So the important thing is that Todd Bridges is the next HOH. He's expected to nominate Carson and Lamar. We have a unitard happening this season again. It's called Hojito and a Lime, mocking Mojito, but it's HOH, so it's Hojito and a Lime. And the people that have to wear that and that are tethered together are Lamar and Todrick. And I don't know if I said this, but they have to wear it for 24 hours. So the visuals are so funny. It gives me life. I love looking at it. I can't wait to see it air tomorrow night and just hearing how they look in the diary, or what they're saying in the diary room and stuff like that. I can't wait. Yeah. So Todd Bridges, HOH, Carson and Lamar are expected to be put on the block. Todrick and Lamar are wearing unitards, the Mojito and the lime. Yep. And that's all I have. I look forward to the next episode. I look forward to continue watching the live feeds. And I'll do my recap after tomorrow night's episode. And that's all I have. That's all I have. So be sure to come back and give me a listen, like, follow, share, subscribe. You can leave me a comment, leave me a message. If you're listening to the podcast, there's a link to leave me a message. So you can click on that and check that out. You can find me by looking for Chatter Out Loud. I have this podcast, I tweet, I'm on YouTube. So look for Chatter Out Loud and you'll find me. All right. So my name is Danielle and you're listening to my podcast, Chatter Out Loud. Thank you so much for joining me. And as always, I appreciate your support. And that's all I have. Thanks again for listening, and I'll talk to you next time.